Happy New Year! Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year is in your mind. It's in your mind. Every day is a new year, but of course, when you're getting closer to the new year, you can kind of make resolutions and you can kind of actually kind of start them early, just to kind of get the ball rolling because there's no real like line where you can say like, ah, you know what I mean? So I personally like to start my resolutions early. I know. So I personally like to start my resolutions early. And one of the resolutions that I've been having to do for a very long time, and it's gonna it's smoking. Smoking, yeah. I've been a smoker for a minute. You can tell in my teeth. Actually, look, they're actually lighter than they used to be, and the lack thereof. But it's because tobacco. And I don't like the filter because I believe the filter gives you cancer. I say that as a joke. I don't know. You see these old usually I tend to be friends with old people that wear all black and have ties to the mob. Yeah. All of a sudden, the man in the suit with the hat will show up, be like, "Here's some money." Be like, what is going on here? Thanks for your favor. Yeah. Uh, so So the point is they're good. They're good. So the point is, back to the smoking. So yeah, so filterless, and then I've always had friends that, don't smoke without filters, and it's called I don't know if I can say that. I'm gonna say it. I just said fuck. Spliff, all right? There's a spliff. I don't care if you do me copyrights. All right, we're all adults here. It says in my thing that I'm an adult, so you can come fucking put commercials. All right, so we're gonna talk about weed and tobacco and smoke. So the point is that in order to save, quote unquote, I feel like I'm in a blogger. I'm talking to you like in order to save, European people will mix tobacco and weed together, because they don't have weed. So is what will happen is you'll end up actually smoking a lot more weed. That's the whole point. Yeah, I smoke weed because I have brain damage. I was hit in the head with a bat. Yeah, it's true. And then before that, I fell off a chair when I was a baby. Yeah, so I have issues. I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at it like seriously, but getting hit with a better with a metallic bat, it's got to do something to you, right? And you can tell, right? You can tell. It's fucking obvious, right? Either that or I'm freaking it's like smack the genius into you. I don't know. The point is, I'm having fun. So back to rewind. What are we talking about? We're talking about New Year quitting smoking. So yeah, so for the longest time I've been smoking, right? Tobacco, like left and right, putting tobacco and stuff like that. Even in high school, like just because I'm cool, what I would do is I would have my corduroy jacket and my like tobacco like there. First of all, who sells a 16-year-old child like a pack of cigarettes? Like, did I look super old that I could just walk in and ask for a pack of cigarettes and they would fucking sell them to me? But I would get packets of cigarettes regularly. I know. It's like the early 90s. No, no, no. No, 95, 93. Yeah, 93 around that. Early 90s, 92, 93. So yeah, so I would have packs of cigarettes and I would smoke. And I actually would not smoke that much because I thought it was disgusting. But I would have the cigarettes because, they were cool. And I always had to have them. And Leonard Peacock had a pack of cigarettes because he wanted to quit smoking. And so it was weird. Like, that's how I got into smoking because Leonard Peikoff wanted to quit smoking. You can look up Leonard Peikoff, Iron Man, all that stuff. So, so yeah, so I would have a pack of cigarettes, whatever, and I would smoke here and there. And then I got well, we'll say it, weed, all right? I don't know the whole shame on YouTube algorithm. The point is, I got into weed. Best thing ever. I'm not advocating it. I'm I am and I'm not. I think that definitely you should have the conversation with your doctor before you uptake anything, and how much you're taking of it and have the conversation as to whether it works or whether it doesn't and whether you're functioning or not functioning. So there's that whole, but it's definitely part of the story. We have to talk about weed. It's definitely a big part of the story because when weed came into the picture, I was like, who are you? Where have you been all my life? Because of the brain injury, I think I'm a highly stressful person. That's why I care a lot about people who have brain injury, and I can tell. And I'm like, you play football, right? Or is something happening when you were a child? Like, yeah. I'm like, well, let me talk to you about brain injury and what happens with your emotions and your feelings and how you get, if you're not correctly medicated and somebody triggers you and then they like triggering you and, so you have psychological issues and it's like, you know? And then on top of that, if you practice magic, that's the hope for humanity to the level, the degree of how much magical power you have. So you got to keep it under wraps. So I highly recommend it in a certain degree. I do recommend it. I do recommend talking to your doctor, talking to a professional, talking to people, and whether if you suffer from issues, then that where you need to calm down, then do it. So yeah, so that's where I am in life. Do I see a future where, of course, I won't need it? Probably. I just quit tobacco. Yeah, well, for day four, you know what I mean? We're on day four of quitting tobacco. So what is that? So let's rewind. So what I would do is when I hung out with my European friend, I won't mention his name, we would put tobacco and weed together. We was like, ooh, it was so cool. And it was fine, for a long time. And then and I did it for a long time, like in my 20s, 30s, whatever, till like only recently, right before, if you follow me, you lost, no, I lost the home to the fire. Not my home, a home that we rented with a friend of mine. So, you'll know that we lost the home that, and, so that whole story. So what ended up happening was I was actually quitting smoking for the new year, and then all of a sudden it happened. And after the fire, I was like, well, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. And I was like listening to Bob Dylan, I see the fire and it's burning me. I mean, it's like the entire city burns to the ground. You know what I mean? I'm not going to comment anything on nothing, and I say nothing. And you cannot infer about anything about nothing. And all I say is if you do tarot, the answers are all there. If you do tarot, the answers are all there. Everyone knows what happened. Everyone. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So back to the whole situation. So it was stressful. So yeah, of course, I got into smoking tobacco again. I was like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna start smoking again. But then now I kind of reached this point in my life where I was like, no, I'm going to quit tobacco. And the new year's starting. I kind of want to be on Survivor. So I'm going to quit tobacco. And I do recommend quitting tobacco. And here's the problem with tobacco, not the whole lung. We're not going to talk about the lung thing. Okay. We're not going to talk about the lung thing. We're going to talk about the effects of it on your mind. Okay. Because what is happening in my perception is that you're calming down, right? You're calming down and you're feeling the calm of the oh, I'm so stressed out. It's usually associated to like something tragedy, something horrible. Or like, oh, I need to calm down. You know what I mean? I knew other people that around the same tragedy who hadn't smoked in a long time. Like, oh, can I just have a cigarette? And so you calm down and you physically feel your brain is calming down. But what ends up happening is that thing that you borrowed, you need more of. So you end up being stressed out. So when you're stressed out, you end up being reactive and then you create more chaos. And then when you create more chaos, whether mentally, whether your mind, you're stressed out because you don't have the cigarette and maybe you never smoked in the first place, then it becomes a chain because now you got to calm that other side down. Hold on for a second. My nose is running. It's just allergies. Okay. And I don't do cocaine. That would, I think so. I think it would. It's under the family of it. Whatever. It's under the morphine family, right? And I'm allergic to those. So the point yeah, so smoking. So I stopped smoking. It's been day four, and really recognized the change. And of course, I'm still smoking weed because I needed to calm down. But first of all, what would happen with the tobacco and the weed is that I needed to constantly I was wasting weed. I was literally going through like hundreds of dollars in weed because it's an addiction. It's a physical addiction, and then on top of that, it's like you want to calm down, and it's the only pairing that you like, so it's like it's a lot more expensive than smoking tobacco. I would imagine it, but I'm sure there's people out there that Like the gremlins, they're like, "Choo, choo, 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 choo." So yeah, so it's been a lot of people. So how do you quit? How do you quit? Right? I think that ultimately everybody like, oh, the patch, the this, the water, the blah 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 blah. For me, what it has been weed. You know what I mean? If you didn't smoke tobacco before, then try some. You've never smoked weed before, but you've smoked tobacco the longest time, switch over, add some weed, and then eventually take out the tobacco and then just smoke a little bit of weed, you'll find that you'll calm down a lot. Of course, everybody will tell you do not drive, do not do anything impulsive, do not, sign any contracts. If you think the devil shows up, but you don't get hallucinations, that's not how it works. You know, don't sign anything. I'm not sure, like, what people's perception that if never people like, oh no, the devil will show up with Charlie Chaplin and Elizabeth Shue and Cameron Diaz, and they'll all do the tango and try to get me to go to Disneyland with them. And it's like, no, but you should probably go. Because I mean, how many times are they paying? Because if they're paying, you should totally go. So maybe you shouldn't because it's the devil. All right, Cameron Diaz, Charlie Chaplin, and Elizabeth Shue. Would you go to Disneyland with those three? The three of you. And Charlie Chaplin is like, I mean, he's not a zombie, so he doesn't want to eat you, but he's a ghost. There you go. He's a ghost. All right, back to not smoking. So yeah, it's been a couple days. I feel clear-headed. I highly recommend it. I highly, highly recommend it. But honestly, at the end of the day, you just got to truck through. You can drink a lot of water. You can drink a lot of things. You can just relax, meditate, take baths, count the days, have people that support you, have someone go, "Yay, you did it!" I have a network of people that have wanted me to at least quit tobacco for a while, and it's like day 3 and day 4. And I keep telling like I'm on day 4, and like, yay, keep doing it. And I know that once you get past day 7, it's big hump and whatnot. So what's your story about quitting smoking? I think that you can do it. I think that if I think that if we have mindfulness, if we're aware that of our emotions, we don't need a chemical. And dare I say, maybe it's even aligned to some kind of demons. Ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and say it because I feel less angry. I feel that also like a big giant weight has been lifted off my back. And I know that sometimes you feel like on so many levels, but it's a chemical. I mean, that really, really is how the perception of an addict is that you let a lot of things go. And I think as the new year comes, it's really a great time if you're addicted to something, you know, just I'm not telling you to stop your addictions, even though I think people should in general, but I think they just see other avenues, like, oh, if I do energy drinks, I'm going to try a green apple. I'm going to try to juice some stuff. I'm going to try to eat better, all that kind of thing. So, what do you think about that as the new year comes and shifting over outside of your regular patterns that you know are hurting you? For me, for a very long time since I was like 12. And I don't want to, I mean, there's been times where I've quit and there's times where I've go back and I actually don't smoke that much. You know, but it's a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing that's just bottom. But sometimes, I mean, some people would be like, you're literally smoking and you're thinking about your next cigarette. Like you're trying to roll up your neck. You're like, I need to have another one, and I need to have another one. And a lot of times it looks cool. I look cool. I said, cool. Look at me. Look at me. I'm cool. And it's like it's just eating away at your life. You know what I mean? Thank goodness that I'm in my late 80s and I look this well, and all of that is because of Avon. Am I in my late 80s? How old do you think I am? Let me know in the comment section down below. And please be cruel. In a nice way, the ribbing is a nice thing. You can rib me. I don't care. I don't care. It's all good. You can talk about my teeth. We can talk about my pink hair because we'll talk about that later at the experience. All right. I love you. I want to wish you a wonderful eternity or send me love. I don't know. Yeah, that sounds nice too. I love it. Thank you. I want to wish you a wonderful eternity. Enjoy the day.